So we are now all of a sudden in a box where we're all trying to survive. What we don't understand is that within this box where we are, none of us will get out of it if we don't allow us to be standing on one another's shoulders. And this standing on one another's shoulder can only come voluntarily. It cannot come that I have to force you or you have to force me. I think we still haven't understood as Africans of Finland that we need to support each other. We need to stand by each other, and we need to kind of, look out for each other. And by mean look out,
it is wake up concept. If you want, is here. Welcome to this episode of Each One Teach One, where we talk about issues and topics that will help us African community in Finland move forward thoughtfully. Today, I have with me a guest that is well informed. I actually have the privilege to have his wisdom, his understanding today. Welcome to the show, my friend Husu.
Thank you, Kingsley. Thanks for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have this discussion with you. That you are one of those people that have been fighting for the collective good of us Africa in this community or in this society, I would say. Yeah. So just to kick us off, right?
Yeah. Just
tell me authentically who Husu is.
I remember my colleagues always used to go like, you need to have a shorter name so we can. Then they first started to call me Hugi, by the way.
Wow.
Huggy, like Huggy. It was Hugi. But about myself, to be authentically, if I would update my CV today, and the first thing I would love to write is the father of 5. That I have 4 boys and 1 girl. They are the most important things in my life. Nothing comes in front of them. Not my education, not my work, not my whatever that I have in life, not my health. They are number 1. And everything I do is to make a better world for them and for all of other kids who are like them. And then after that, of course, the achievements and everything else I have done, the studies. I'm studying in Arkada University, Applied Science. I'm doing media management as a master's program at the moment. I have done my bachelor's sometimes back in social science. I am running Finland's largest multicultural organization with over 120 different organizations of over 40 different nationalities. So sitting there and talking to people and convincing people of different things feels like probably what the people in the UN feel like being within that kind of diverse. I have a staff in the organization of about almost 26 people, where about 10 to 15 of them are give and take at work almost every day. And then we have about 10 to 12 people that do hourly work, and they work for some hours for us in the month. So I run this organization, and the idea is, it has always been for me that if you are not on the table, then you're going to be part of the menu. If anyone that listens to you in this program, if they need to take anything from this program, that is the only sentence I will use today that summarizes everything I'm going to say and everything I have experienced in life. It's either you are part of the decision preparing, decision making, or you are part of the menu. And I personally believe that we as Africans should always be part of the, finding solutions for us. We understand how and what is the best way to handle an African problem, or either it's in the continent or here, the African community here in Finland or in Europe in general. We understand what is the problems, but we also have to understand that as Africans, we also need to stand up, wake up, and not feel like we are victims all the time. I think that there are those entities that will love us to always feel like, we've just been run over all the time, and that somebody else wants to save you, and there's this thing called white savior, that there are a lot of people who feel like I need to do something for the African people, and I keep always telling them that don't do for them, do with them, let them do it, support them, give them the possibility to do it, let them stand up. You don't stand on your child when they sit down, you ask them to, I'm gonna hold your hand, you have to get up. So give us those chances, give us those possibilities, because as Africans living in this country, we don't have the wealth, we don't have the the power, we don't have the resources to really stand up for ourselves. We are still dependable on the system of the country and the people of the country and everything like that. So I think, in my opinion, that we need to step up ourselves, and whoever somebody wants to help us, you kind of need to ask them that, please do it with us until we know how to do it ourselves. Don't do it for us. This is the message that I wanted to bring here.
Wow, this is really interesting. Just talking about standing with us, not doing for us. There's this African proverb that now that African proverb now have become really or is becoming more and more interesting
and reality
for the Western community.
Yeah,
that also goes to show that we have really, really honorable men before that know how to do stuff, know how to think through difficult situations and face challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the saying goes this way. It says that when the house is on fire, the wise person, you don't start by saying what caused the fire.
You put it off.
You put it off. That should be the priority number one.
Yeah.
So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I think that we as collective, right, we can do more and we should do more.
Absolutely.
But what do you think that we're missing? What do you think that we misunderstood in this community?
Are you talking about the Finnish African community now?
Yes, the Finnish African community. What have we missed?
First of all, you have to understand we are not one. We come from so different backgrounds.
Yeah.
The only thing the two things that connect us is, first, we are Africans, and secondly, we live in a new country. So we all have the same color, but we come from different cultures, different religions, different languages, different, even the food we eat is different. What you eat in Nigeria and what I eat in Somalia is totally different.
Completely.
So we are now all of a sudden in a box where we're all trying to survive. What we don't understand is that within this box where we are, none of us will get out of it if we don't allow us to be standing on one another's shoulders. And this standing on one another's shoulder can only come voluntarily. It cannot come that I have to force you or you have to force me. I think we still haven't understood as Africans of Finland that we need to support each other. We need to stand by each other, and we need to kind of, look out for each other. And by look out, I mean when one of us is doing wrong, we are the ones to stop him first.
Yeah.
Like, I stop you, Kingsley. I don't think what you're doing is right. You should stop doing this. I think you're going to bring you're not going to only break the law, but you're going to bring, there's going to be repercussions for you and for me and for all the other Africans.
Sure.
And if you won't listen to me, then it's my responsibility to talk to the officials and make sure that you stopped. I think that taking responsibilities is the number one thing as Africans that we need to do. The second thing is we are not capitalizing on the possibilities, all that possibilities that Finland is giving us. How many of us are really using the free education that we have here? How many African doctors or African master degrees or African engineers do we have in this country compared to how many of us are here? There are. I'm not saying they're not at all, but I'm saying that shouldn't there be in a system that allows us to study from kindergarten all the way to becoming a doctor? Shouldn't we use this system? Shouldn't we go through the primary school, high schools, universities, get all those degrees as much as possible? But how many of us are really? And if you look at the statistics, our kids are not also there. I'm not going to blame this on us because there's a lot of obstacles out there. There are so many things that are stopping us also. But if you look at all our leaders around the world, or any leader around the world, none of them ever had the achievement they achieved. None of them had it in easy way. Each one of them, some of them got killed for even trying to be that or to even to study. I remember reading about Black Americans being killed just because they know how to read in America by the white Americans then. So I will never compare Finland or to America and what happened 100 years ago and now. But the difference now is that we want to do things that are like 50-50 thing. Like I'm going to be a musician. Let's say that. And that's what I really want. If you're not disciplined enough, if you're not willing to take all the bad things that are coming your way for you to succeed as a musician, then do not go to play music. Do not go say this is going to be, because everything needs sacrifice. Everything you want to do in life has to have sacrifice. If you're not able to do that sacrifices, then you're not going to succeed. Look, read. It doesn't say anywhere in the world that all the leaders around the world who have got to where they were. Of course, every once in a while somebody is lucky here and there, but luck does not keep you number one all the time. You have to do the work.
Exactly.
So we're not doing the work. We are not putting the work there. And I think that what is stopping us from understanding one another and supporting one another is, for one thing, that we're not networking within ourselves. Each one of us is running to be accepted. Personally, I want to be accepted by the new home where I live. I want to have
to fit
prestige.
in.
Yeah, I want to be looked up to. But how about when I look up to you, or the people look up to you, but then 9 of other Nigerians, or the 9 of other Somalis, or the other, our members of our community, if we get the respect but the rest of them are not getting the respect, so it's not like we're achieving anything.
Of course.
So I think that where we are lacking the possibilities, that we are not taking all the possibilities ourselves. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's easy for us to victimize and to accept being a victim than really saying that, no, I'm not a victim. I'm going to do what it takes to get out of being here.
Talking about possibility, I mean, taking advantage of what the environment and the system can offer us, how then could we do that? What would be the starting point?
Yeah, well, like I said in the beginning, first it's study. Going to school, knowing your rights but also your responsibilities. I remember, I think it was 2002 or 3, I got almost fired away from a workplace where I was, and I just left without even asking why. Actually, she didn't need to tell me, and I left. I didn't know. I was ready to give up. I was like, okay, she didn't want me to be there, so that's enough. Until I got a phone call from a Finnish friend of mine. He asked me why, and I told him, and he empowered me enough to tell me where to get the information from, to kind of show that I was fired in a wrong way. So 24 hours later, I went to the same lady and I told her everything, and she was very amazed that just in 24 hours I know so much things that I didn't know just 24 hours earlier. And I understood that day one thing. I understood that the more you find out about your rights and responsibilities, the easier it is for you to go to all these battles. But of course, like I said, there are obstacles. There are people who will always try to. We have a lot of statistics to show that Africans are being battered and being prejudiced against, and even physically and mentally abused, and racism and all that kind of stuff. We have statistics to show that, not only in Finland but all of Europe. But my question has always been, yes, they do that. Yes, they did that. Do I just lay down and let them continue, or do I fight it back? I choose to fight back. I choose to fight those people back. And that's why I am where I am today, and that's why a lot of us are where we are today, because we have to say no. We are always, each one of us is one day going to die, but do you want to die lying on your back or your feet? And I choose to do that. When the time comes, I hope I am on my feet. I will never want to be on my knees or on my back. So we need to be courageous enough as Africans. All African mothers teach us to be courageous from the time when we are children. We are told of the lions and our great grandfathers fighting lions and wild animals to kind of just prove how strong they were. The stories I tell my children are about the stories I used to get when I was a kid, about the lion and my father's father just having a spear, going through lion's den just to go and take whatever animal he wanted and come back. And these are the stories I used to hear as a kid, and they gave me this, like, I come from a line of warriors, a line of brave people. I don't need to be afraid of anything and that kind of stuff. So we don't need to be that anymore. We don't need to be with the spears. We don't need to kind of think but bravery is not about violence. It's about your self-discipline, about you wanting more in your life for you and for others, wanting to make where you live safer for everyone and everything like that. So I think that to answer your question short, there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be racism. The black man, whatever he is in the world, even the ones in Africa, we do that to one another. So for us to get respect, is we can't lay down. We need to study, we need to understand, we need to be part of it, we need to demand, and we need to use. And the best thing about the countries like Finland is that everyone has the right to do that. You can vote. By voting, by really giving your vote to someone, you can really say that this is how I feel. You choose the person to represent you in that way. And that's why the best thing that we can do is to be part of the society. But how can we be part of the society if we are not able to follow what's going on?
Talking about, again, there's something that you mentioned regarding our kids, which I think is like really frightening, that it might be that, of course, according to the statistics, that our kids here also are kind of falling into that kind of same kind of rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I also know that a lot of kids here that are actually building a kind of exclusive sort of network. So when there are kids that are going around with a bag of beer, there are also kids that actually, within themselves have a very strong sort of, if you like, exclusive network where they are talking about their studies, where they are challenging themselves with their grade and all that kind of stuff. So how do we make sure that we correct that before it gets really bad?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's a question I have to tackle every day of my life, because I have children that are being teenagers at the moment. And I think maybe the best way to answer this is to be as practical as possible.
Yeah, please.
For me is teach your children from the time when they are young, to prepare them that life is not going to be easy for them because of their color and because of their ethnicity, their language, their differences. It's always going to scare some people, either here or somewhere else around the world. So the quicker they accept that life is not going to be easy for them, the better for them. At the same time, we need to empower them to show them that what they have, the skin color, the language, the culture, the food, is something to be proud of. If we build children that are proud of who they are, that accept who they are for their color and for their ethnicity and for their mothers and fathers and everything else, even though there's not a lot of people to look up to, I think we will build those kind of young people that are going to be okay with their own skin. Because the worst thing that can happen to our children is not that they don't get educated, but the worst thing that can happen to them is that for them not to accept themselves.
So what I'm hearing now, is it a question of them trying to fit in, or a question of them trying to, or understanding that when they put in their best, that the best outcome is possible?
They have to do their best. They will do their best. We will teach them, we will give them everything possible. We will give them the love, we will give them the possibilities to study, all of that. But apart from that, we also need to make sure that they do fit already. They are citizens of this country. They live in this country. They were born in this country. There's no other home for them. So there's nothing to fit into. They're already part of the system. They are part of the country. They have everything else. They have every right as every other child born in this country of whatever color. So it's not about fitting. So because whenever you hear about should they fit, it's not about them fitting. They are already part of the system. Those people who are asking those questions, they are the ones who have not fit in the system, because this new status quo, which has so many different people around it, with so many different cultures and so many different languages, and the diversity is very concrete. Those ones are the ones who did not fit in them, because our kids are part of that. So in my opinion, my kids as Finnish citizens as anyone else in this country, they are of the background of Somali ethnicity. That is their background. That is their. They have a language, a mother tongue. It's not Finnish, it's a Somali. They are Muslims. In color, they are darker skin than normal Finnish people. All of this is part of their identity, and they have to accept all of that. But they cannot go and ask others to accept that or all of that if they don't themselves accept it first. So my point is we need to, build them in a way that they love their
skin.
Their skin.
So having that self-confidence is number one. That is a game changer. You also brought up something as regards to education that is really important, that our community here tried to take advantage of that. So some also, as you probably know, there's a lot of us here that have gone to school. They have issues getting proper job in the field of their studies, and I know that there is some disconnect, some issues around that, why people are not like really fired up or engaged to actually take those steps. That I know, or that I can think. I've seen that happen over time. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is that there are a lot of Africans now that are struggling. I mean, the ones that have gone to school, the ones that are just struck and they don't know what to do. What is your advice?
Well, I think first of all, we can't expect every employer to be bold and brave. Some of them just want to make their livelihoods, and if they don't have the energy and the time to kind of have that boldness in them to change the face of their company to someone young but black, and they think that could be a problem for them, I think we shouldn't just judge them. They're not ready for that. What happened to you is you could take it from a negative perspective, but you can also take it from a positive perspective. It's just like I said earlier when we were discussing today, that the cup can be half empty, but it can also be half full. It depends on which perspective we take. I choose to take the half full. So from this, I think that what you should have done, and if you did, is a good thing, is that just put the first leg in the company first. Because what happened in Finland in so many years is that there's a lot of working places where blacks and migrants did not get the chance. But when the first two went in there, then all of a sudden the company was open for all other migrants. I remember in the 90s, driving a bus was a very big deal for a black man, or a taxi. I remember in the beginning of 2000 in Turku, when I was working for H&M, it was a big deal to see a black guy standing in the cashier selling clothes. That's how big it is. But you have to remember, Finland is also a very young country when you compare to France or to England, where blacks have been there for almost hundreds of years. So, in my opinion, you need to put your leg in there. And on the other side, you just need to prove yourself how good and worthy you are, that your work will speak on your behalf and not the color of your skin, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But if you would ask me, I would say, if we still have in 2020, after 2020, the 21st century, if you have people in Finland thinking about, because you're black, you will be a problem for my company, I think that person needs to get their health checked, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about their physical health, but I'm talking about their mental health, because something has to really be bad with you for in this time of life, where the world is a very global village, where everyone can be with everyone, and blacks and whites, and everyone is working together. In a time like this, when people, if anyone stuck on race at this time, needs to check their mental health. That's my opinion, personal opinion. And for you, I would say that, and to the other ones that are probably going to watch this kind of program and this program, don't be so proud that your pride will stop you from getting you the chance that you're supposed to get. I'm not asking you to eat garbage for because you're hungry, but I'm also asking you not to be so proud that if you're not going to do this for me, I'm not going to be here. You have to remember, everybody starts from somewhere. And every company has policies, every company does things here and there. You can fight with those companies if you want. If you have a basis to show that they didn't hire you because you are of ethnicity, you can sue them to court in Finland. But does that help you? Really, at the end of the day, do you think you will ever get that job? Or you will, the most thing that can happen for you is maybe you get compensated. But that people still have the right to say, no, we don't want this person to come here. And what happens to those other black people who might want to go to that company when you sue them? what happens to them too. So there's so many things to look from, and there's no one answer that is right. But like I said, that person who's doing that needs to get checked. And for you, don't be so.
Talking about checking this, there's this, just in close, just to wrap this up, because of the time, obviously. And I think that there's no better person to ask this question than you. We talk about, how the society should, look at us, give us chance, understand those that are trying, don't cut off the legs of those that are trying to come in, doing their best, right? See us as, we are doing our best. We are black, we're Africans. We could be someone's mom, we could be someone's dad, we could be someone's cousin. We're just a human being. Give us that chance to live. That's what we were trying to say.
But this is the difference between you and me. I'm not saying give us. I'm saying let's take it.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's never given.
Yeah,
you have to know that.
Exactly.
Power is never given. Yeah. You, as Africans in this country, we can do a lot. We can also get a lot. But it depends on how we play the card. How we play our cards. We have minorities, the Jewish community, I think other smaller, the Same community, the Tatar community that live in this country. They are more connected. In numbers, they're very less compared to a lot of African communities.
No.
But for them, what they do is that they have one person who's behind they stand. Let's say, look at the Jewish community, for example. You have a man called Ben Siskovic. Of course, he gets voted by a lot of other Finns and so many, because he does so many things for so many other people, but he's also uplifting his own community. So for over 30 years, this man gets elected again and again and again and again. If you see the Tatar community, you have people who are elected to the city council again and again and again, because they do that the same again. So what we as Africans are not doing is that the Nigerians that are maybe 3,000, 4,000 wants to be here. The Somalis who are like 10,000, 20,000 wants to be here. The Cameroonians wants to be there. None of these people, even though they are all counted as Africans, are not working together. But imagine if you could bring those people together and say that, hey, in the next municipality elections, we're going to have 10 people to go in. And I think a good example is the Somali community. If you look at the Somali community. Now, the Somali community have 12 members of city councils in Finland, just in the city councils. You have another 10 almost as vices that go in there. That's like everyone who ran for the campaign kind of either got in or get enough votes to be in one seat in some committee. That's number one. We have a member of the parliament. We have a person who's doing the movies that has done so good now, Qadar. Just yesterday I found out Hifki, this football team, just took a young 22 years Somali old young man to be a coach of a team. We have about 100 doctors and nurses and all of them, and they are all there. But we are all individually going where we are. If this community would come together, just this community, so you could do a lot.
Even talking about coming together, because the question I wanted to ask you, which I just said that you are the better person to answer this question, is that within us, because I feel that, or I see that people that are not even trying well enough, and once they happen to see someone that is actually taking step or trying his or her best, moving forward, they want to discredit them. They want to do anything they can to actually make sure, like, this kind of thinking that if I couldn't do it, you shouldn't do it either. When there is a lot of place, like, the field is as open as anything.
That's not only an African thing, that's also the Finnish thing. It's everywhere. That's envy. It's envy. It is jealous. But that's why I tell you once again, when you build strong boys and girls, all those noises coming out there are not going to affect them. But if you bring up weak people and then you put them in positions where they're all the time thinking, who said what did they say about me? I am one of the persons in Finland, I will put myself in the top 5 in Finland. The people who got the most hate speech and all kind of shit happening and racism and all that kind of
Wow.
happening. But nevertheless, I'm still here. I still go on every day with my daily life. Every once in a while, when I have a free time and I don't have time to, I would go and open all those shit things that have been said about me, and I will just go read it. But I would not lose my sleep because of them, because there's a lot of sick people, there's a lot of envy, there's a lot of jealousy, and it's not only coming from, let's say, the Finns, it's coming from migrants, background migrants, like even from my own community, Black Africans also are doing that. So I think that for that question, I remember there was a man who told me, he used this African thing, said that, hey, do you think that the lion, when he's hungry, he goes and asks the gazelles, which one of you should I eat? I said, no, he just goes there, grabs whoever he feels like eats them, goes back. Do you think that the gazelles can ever sit with the lion and tell him that, hey, don't come and just like that announce, let's have one gazelle ready for you every time. Do you think that kind of business?
No.
So I said no. So he said to me no. So I said, and then he told me, you need to have the mentality of a lion if you want to survive in hostile society. This doesn't mean that you just go and eat people and do whatever you want, but don't listen to everything that is coming out there. If you do that, it's going to affect you, and when it affects you, it's going to take your probably your sleep or your possibility to eat, which will physically affect you, that you will not be able to function. So you can't do that. Just block them. That's what I keep on hearing. So to me, it's good to have enemies. Actually, it's not good, but it's it kind of puts you on your toes. If you would just be like, okay, do whatever you want and nobody criticizes you, you will make so many thousands of mistakes. But when there's a lot of eyes looking at you, you also step up and do that.
And that also is a life of no purpose.
Yeah.
Because you constantly living your life to fit other people's sort of expectation of you, which is really, really bad.
Yeah.
So trying to live to fit in, and of course it's important to respect other people's space and opinion and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't stop you from having your own opinion. So what would be your last message to our people here?
If I would give the African community of Finland something to take from today, it's just like I said in the beginning, it's either you are on the table or you are on the menu. If we choose to be on the menu, then other peoples are going to decide how we look like, what we do, how our lives look like, where we live, and all that kind of stuff. But if we want to be on the table, then we need to step up. And one thing that we need to do is educate our people, inform our people, and include our people. With those three eyes, and then of course, every time elections are out there, I don't care who you vote for, just go and vote. Because people of African descent, a lot of them, especially the young people, don't understand the power of voting, the power of democracy. There are people who stand online for hours and they still go and draw something stupid on that ballot. But it counts. They went and they vote, and you would say that 80% of this community or 80% of this area of Helsinki voted, which means that the next time politicians are making decisions, they look at, do the people of that area vote? And if they see that 80% of them are voting, then they know that that's an area I have to go and talk to the people, ask them what do they need. But imagine if we are a community and we are not voting, and people know that we are not voting. Do you think they will care what kind of decisions they make about us?
No.
But if they know that we are voting 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%, you will have all the politicians that make decisions in this country to come and knock our doors and ask us, hey, you, African community of Finland, we see you guys. What do you want? What is important for you? And you will see politicians talking to us, asking us questions like, then we can talk about the job possibilities and the housing possibilities and everything that is missing from our lives. Unless we already have someone on our behalf running that we can put all our energy behind. And then he doesn't have to be afraid of anything, because the problem is, if we have a person as an African background that goes there, but we are not the people who voted for him or for her, and they're there, they represent the whole of that constituency that voted for them. But if imagine if you would have somebody sitting in there that knows, I got 1,000 votes from the African community of Finland and it's enough for me. So whenever I open my mouth in this city council or parliament, I'm going to mention what those 1,000 people who voted for me want. What are their top 10 things? And I would come back to them every couple of months, ask them, I have got one thing done, I still have 9 more to go. Do I still go with number 2, or do you want number 3 to become now the new priority? have to come back to somewhere and all that kind of stuff. And all of that is missing. All of that is missing. So be aware, let's be informed, let's include ourselves, and let's not be on the menu.
You've heard it now from the one and the only Husu. He said, work hard, remember to vote, because your vote really, really counts. It's a step forward, and you never want to just give it up for anyone. You heard it from him. So, my friend, it was really a privilege to sit down with you. Thanks a lot. You've done a lot for our community, and I really respect you and all the effort that you've been making.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
It was good to be here.
It was good.
All the best.